Hi, my name's Arthur. I'm one of the brewers at Stroud Brewery, and I'm here to announce or celebrate the fact that all our beers are now vegan. I'm going to try and talk a little bit about vegan beers and non-vegan beers and what differences and changes we've made to our beers. So the only beers that have been non-vegan in our range have been our Cask beers, so this is Budding, Tom Long and OPA. I'm vegan myself and have been vegan for about 6 years, and I love Cask beer, and I've always found it a little bit of a moral dilemma about which I love more. So I've been working quite hard to be able to make our beers vegan. One thing that I think is quite important with beers, especially beers you've been drinking for a long time, is you become really associated with that taste. So we really don't want to replace an ingredient with a beer like the isinglass to this silica product, and it to have a taste change in aroma, flavour, mouthfeel, just carbonation, just how the beer is. So we've made it so there has been just a seamless transition, and there is no flavour or aroma taste. We've been doing this for about 4 months on our beers, so all our beers have been vegan for about 4 months. We haven't told anyone about this because we just wanted to see how this went down, and if we start getting comments or complaints back from customers or pubs or something like that. But it's all been really positive, and our beers are tasting as good as ever. Predominantly non-vegan beers will be cask conditioned beers, the traditional hand pumps in pubs. They use something called isinglass to clear the beer, but it's actually made of fish bladders from the sturgeon fish. And this acts in a way where the particles of the swim bladder attract the yeast particles. They form together, make bigger and bigger clumps, and due to gravity, they eventually drop out into the bottom of the barrel. So that's why if you get a sludgy pint at the end and it's the bottom of the barrel, it's just full of yeast. So the reason why cask beers are fine and keg beers are not is because of the way that they are dispensed and cellared and stored. So cask beer undergoes secondary fermentation in the barrel. As a result, there's a little bit of yeast in there. That yeast will cause haze in a product. For keg beers, we drop all the yeast out, take all the yeast out of the vessel before we package it. Hopefully leaving like a nice clear crisp beer, which you'll see with our lagers. There's another different type of haze, so if you get a hazy can of a pale ale or IPA or New England IPA or anything like that, there's a second type of haze. It's not yeast haze, it's protein polyphenol haze, which polyphenols come from the hops, and the proteins come from wheat and oats and other protein sort of things that we use in our malt to make our beer. These two react together, form the clumps, like I said, about yeast, but don't form bigger and bigger clumps, so they stay as sort of like a general haze in the beer. I just love to make all our beers as accessible and reduce any boundaries that people have in order accessing beer, and especially cask beer. Cask beer is such an amazing heritage of like the British pub, and like there is an amazing bit of magic that happens in secondary fermentation when you put it into the cask, and to enable everyone to be able to experience that is just, I would love to break down any boundaries that anyone had to that. Off on that, we've made OPA, one of our core range beers, gluten-free, so that will help to further break down any barriers that people experience trying to have cask beer. So yeah, come down to Stroud Brewery, come to the various pubs that are selling our beer, and come see our beautifully clear vegan beer. Great, cheers.